So glucose is a sugar, fructose is a sugar, but the way that they get metabolized is extremely different. So fructose is found in fruit.
Dr. Jason Fung is a Canadian nephrologist and physician, renowned for his innovative work in intermittent fasting and low-carbohydrate diets, particularly in managing and reversing type 2 diabetes and obesity. He earned his MD from the University of Toronto and completed his nephrology fellowship at UCLA before returning to practice in Toronto, Canada. Fung is the co-founder of the fasting method, formerly the intensive dietary management, and the author of several best-selling books including The Obesity Code, The Diabetes Code, and The Complete Guide to Fasting. His clinical experience treating patients with kidney disease and diabetes led him to champion evidence-based dietary strategies over conventional medication-first approaches. In today's video, we're exposing the 5 worst drinks that may actually fuel cancer cell growth, guided by the expertise of Dr. Jason Fung. Not only will we break down which beverages you should steer clear of, but we'll also explain why. They often spike insulin, inflammation, or feed tumors directly. After all, what you drink daily can profoundly impact your body's environment. Liquid calories can sneak in without notice, leading to constant blood sugar and insulin surges that may feed the soil where cancer thrives, a mechanism Dr. Fung highlights in the Cancer Code. A good portion of what we consume every day, whether harmful or healing, is often poured into a cup. So, let's dive into these 5 seemingly innocent drinks that might be doing more harm than good. But before we continue, this content is provided for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider with questions about your health or medical condition. Do not disregard professional advice or delay seeking it because of something you have read here. First, let's delve into what makes certain drinks harmful, especially when consumed in excess. There's several factors that can mark a drink as unhealthy. Drinks loaded with added sugars can flood your bloodstream rapidly, causing spikes in blood glucose and insulin that promote inflammation, weight gain, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. Without fiber or protein, these liquid calories don't satisfy hunger and often lead to excess calorie intake and metabolic overload. Many also contain acidic additives, artificial dyes, preservatives, or caffeine that can damage tooth enamel, disrupt gut health, and tax the liver. Finally, contaminants like benzene or excessive artificial sweeteners in some formulations add further health risks, compounding the impact of poor nutrition. With all of this in mind, let's get into the 5 drinks worth avoiding to help your body starve cancer and keep other illnesses away. Prepackaged juice. Prepackaged fruit juice may seem healthy, but in reality, it often offers very little nutritional benefit and can create a body environment that may actually feed cancer cells. Dr. Jason Fung cautions against high-sugar beverages, including fruit juices, because they raise blood glucose and insulin levels, which in turn support the growth of cancerous cells by nurturing their metabolic demands. How exactly does a sweet glass of juice become harmful rather than helpful? First and foremost, most store-bought juices are stripped of natural fiber and packed with fructose, sometimes equaling the sugar content of sodas. According to a JAMA Network study, consuming 12 ounces of fruit juice raises mortality risk nearly as much as other sugar-sweetened beverages. Without fiber to slow absorption, this fructose rush leads to sharp blood sugar and insulin spikes, a perfect storm for fueling cancer cell proliferation, as emphasized by Dr. Fung in the Cancer Code.
For example, you get a big slug of glucose, but all of your body is using it. So if you weigh 180 pounds, 180 pounds of your body is using glucose. When you eat the same amount of fructose, none of your cells can use it. It actually all goes.
Second, juice calories are mostly empty. They provide energy, but none of the nutrients or antioxidants that whole fruits offer. This metabolic burden can exacerbate insulin resistance and promote chronic inflammation, creating a metabolic soil ripe for cancer cell growth, which aligns with Dr. Fung's focus on managing environment over genetics. Lastly, the regular habit of reaching for juice subtly trains your body to expect repeated insulin spikes. Dr. Fung warns that frequent insulin surges contribute to the dysregulated signaling that underlies not just obesity and diabetes, but also the increased risk of certain cancers. So while prepackaged juice may taste healthy, a closer examination, through the lens of Dr. Fung's research, reveals it as a high-sugar, low-nutrient choice that can unfortunately support disease rather than resist it. Regular soda. Regular soda is more than just a sweet treat. It's a potent contributor to an environment that can feed cancer cells by raising blood glucose and insulin levels. Dr. Jason Fung emphasizes in The Cancer Code that chronically elevated insulin, the hallmark of obesity and type 2 diabetes, is a major driver of cancer, essentially providing fuel and growth signals to malignant cells. A standard 12-ounce can of soda packs roughly 35 to 40 grams of high fructose corn syrup, about 10 teaspoons of sugar. There's no fiber or protein to slow absorption, so the sugar floods the bloodstream, causing a rapid spike in blood glucose. The pancreas responds by releasing a surge of insulin, which Dr. Fung warns that it creates a bodily soil ripe for cancer cell growth by acting as a powerful growth factor.
By the time they tell us that eating sugar is just fine, you can see that there's this secondary spike in the amount of sugar that we eat. If you look at,
consumption increased so much, and people have recognized pretty well by this point that really cutting out sugars is probably one of the most important things. I don't think anybody disagrees on that.
Secondly, regular consumption of sugary sodas trains your metabolism to expect frequent insulin jolts. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance, a vicious cycle in which the body produces even more insulin to manage blood sugar. Dr. Fung explains that this metabolic dysregulation is not just linked to diabetes and obesity, but also directly tied to cancer risk. Lastly, and perhaps most critically, there are absolutely zero beneficial nutrients in soda. No vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, or fiber, just empty calories that burden the liver, promote inflammation, and deprive the body of what it needs to defend itself. According to Dr. Fung, it's not enough to focus on genes, which in this case is the seed, without addressing the metabolic environment, or the soil. Otherwise, we remain vulnerable to disease. Essentially, regular soda is a high glycemic, insulin-spiking beverage that fosters metabolic conditions shown by Dr. Fung to promote cancer initiation and progression. Swapping it for water, herbal tea, or other low-insulin alternatives helps potentially starving the soil and reducing risk. But before we move on to the next drink, if you are looking to dive deeper into the foods that can prevent cancer, be sure to subscribe to the Vitazen Health newsletter linked below. Each week, we share expert-backed tips, delicious recipes, and actionable steps to help you live longer and feel your best delivered right to your inbox. Diet soda. Diet soda might seem like a smarter choice, but Dr. Jason Fung warns that it can still produce insulin responses and disrupt metabolic balance. In his teachings on insulin and cancer, Fung emphasizes that diets filled with insulin-raising stimuli, whether they contain calories or not, can help form grounds for cancer growth. Artificial sweeteners commonly found in diet sodas, like aspartame and sucralose, may stimulate insulin secretion by 20%, despite being calorie-free.
And what's really unfair, of course, is that we put the blame on the obesity or overweight on the individual. And we say, well, they let themselves go and they didn't watch themselves. They weren't careful. It's their fault. And that's the stigma that comes with this whole calories in, calories out thinking, because we say it's their fault because they could choose what they eat. It's like, yes, they could choose what they eat, but they didn't choose the food environment that is telling them to eat all this ultra-processed food, that is making all this ultra-processed food available to them.
How does diet soda impact our metabolic health and cancer risk? First, it's deceptive. No sugar, no calories. But the sweet taste still triggers hormonal cascade. Dr. Fung, alongside research noted by Diet Doctor, points out that artificial sweeteners can prompt insulin release or sensitize taste receptors to sweetness, perpetuating cravings and metabolic confusion, key contributors to insulin resistance. This chronic pattern of insulin surges trains the body to stay in a constant fed state, suppressing autophagy, the natural cellular cleanup process essential for preventing tumor formation.
So taking our analogy there, the sugar bowl, translating that to the body, what specific tissues, organs, cells are we talking about that are becoming full of the glucose?
Basically, all of the tissues in the body get affected. So unlike most other diseases, diabetes affects everything. So it causes heart problems, causes strokes, causes cancers, causes...
Second, emerging evidence links artificial sweeteners with alterations in the gut microbiome. Disrupted gut flora can heighten inflammation and influence immune function, another layer of dysfunction in the internal environment that Dr. Fung describes as enabling cancer's growth. While some studies remain observational, the trends are concerning. Increased rates of metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, and heart issues in habitual diet soda consumers. Thirdly, recent statements from health authorities add to the unease. The WHO's International Agency for Research on Cancer has categorized aspartame, a key ingredient in many diet sodas, as possibly carcinogenic to humans, prompting calls for further exploration of its long-term effects. Although regulatory agencies like the FDA still consider aspartame safe within daily intake limits, the declaration highlights real uncertainty about cancer links. In essence, diet soda, despite being calorie-free, may still feed cancer cells indirectly by disrupting insulin signaling, metabolic regulation, and gut health. As Dr. Fung asserts, it isn't just about calories or genetics, it's about the environment we cultivate inside us. Ditching diet soda in favor of pure water, herbal tea, or naturally sweet options like stevia or monk fruit can help restore a metabolism that resists disease and supports long-term wellness. Caffeinated alcoholic drinks. Caffeinated alcoholic drinks may sound daring and energizing, but they pose serious risks that can feed cancer cells by disrupting metabolic signaling. Dr. Jason Fung highlights that cancer thrives in an environment of chronic insulin stimulation and inflammation, both of which are driven by alcohol's impact on liver function, glucose metabolism, and overall metabolic stress.
Certainly, anytime you eat, your insulin's going to go up. You're giving your body instructions to store energy. So the solution is to eat less often.
What if you do a juice fast?
Juice fast, of course, is not a real fast because you're taking a lot of sugars.
What do you think of juice fasting?
But how do these hybrid beverages intensify the danger? First, combining caffeine and alcohol masks the body's natural warning signs. The FDA banned pre-mixed caffeinated alcoholic drinks like Four Loko and Sparks in 2010 because caffeine reduces the perception of intoxication, leading to higher consumption and increasing metabolic strain. With more alcohol ingested, there's increased formation of acetaldehyde, a known carcinogen, and elevated oxidative stress, both of which foster mutations in stem cells and tissue damage during cellular regeneration. Second, alcohol itself significantly amplifies insulin responses. Ethanol impairs liver metabolism, dysregulates blood sugar control, and promotes insulin resistance, factors that Dr. Fung connects directly to cancer progression. Meanwhile, caffeine disrupts sleep and hormone balance, further stressing the metabolic environment and facilitating chronic inflammation. Finally, these drinks deliver empty calories that push the body toward fat storage, weight gain, and fatty liver disease, a key component of the soil Dr. Fung identifies as potentially fueling cancer growth. Additionally, the masked intoxication may lead to repeated late-night drinking episodes, further cascading metabolic dysfunction and inflammation. Caffeinated alcoholic beverages go beyond being just a high-risk indulgence. They're a metabolic double whammy that combines carcinogenic alcohol effects with the hyperstimulating influence of caffeine. By obscuring intoxication and promoting binge behaviors, they deepen the metabolic imbalances highlighted by Dr. Fung as essential for cancer development. Energy drinks. Energy drinks are often marketed as a quick fix for fatigue, but they actually create the very metabolic conditions that Dr. Jason Fung warns can feed cancer cells. Through relentless insulin and appetite spikes, inflammation, and organ stress, Dr. Fung's work highlights how sustained hyperinsulinemia, often driven by high sugar or stimulant-laden beverages, forms fertile soil that encourages cancer growth.
Sweeteners and sugar, you definitely have to cut those out. While it sounds like a great idea to take sweeteners, for example, that have no calories, the problem is that they're very sweet and they may stimulate your appetite.
But what exactly makes these drinks so detrimental? First, the combo of high sugar and extreme caffeine overloads the body's regulatory systems. A single can may include 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine, often more when including guarana, plus 20 to 30 grams of added sugar. This potent mix triggers blood pressure surges, anxiety, and heart rhythm disturbances, and floods the bloodstream with glucose, compelling the pancreas to release massive insulin amounts. Dr. Fung emphasizes that such repeated insulin storms inhibit autophagy, the vital cellular cleanup process, and provide growth signals that feed malignant cells. Second, ingredients like taurine, B vitamins, and herbal extracts may seem harmless, but they're largely unregulated. These additives may magnify stimulant effects, increase toxicity risk, and further destabilize metabolism. The Mayo Clinic and Harvard experts warn energy drinks can raise blood pressure, induce arrhythmias, anxiety, and in severe cases, contribute to cardiac events, even in healthy individuals. Finally, reliance on energy drinks leads to chronic metabolic stress, dehydration, blood sugar roller coasters, sleep disruption, and adrenal fatigue, creating a prolonged inflammatory state, which Dr. Fung states is a foundational element of cancer risk. That in mind, there are a number of healthy alternatives to these drinks. Sparkling water with a squeeze of lemon or lime is hydrating and alkaline without caffeine or sugar. We also have green tea, which contains moderate caffeine plus antioxidants like EGCG, supporting metabolism and longevity. There are also herbal adaptogen blends like rooibos with ginseng that provide gentle energy and stress support without sugar or jitters. Also, there's coconut water with natural electrolytes for hydration, making it ideal for post-activity. Swapping out excessively sweet drinks for these options supports a stable metabolic environment, one that Dr. Fung says is crucial to potentially resisting cancer growth further and nurturing long-term wellness. We've now talked about the 5 drinks that may be doing more harm than good for your body. But even with a better understanding of what to drink, you might be missing a crucial piece of the puzzle when it comes to truly fighting cancer, minding what you eat. So, watch this next video to discover the best fruits and fruit recipes that may further help strengthen your body and also supercharge your body's defenses to really starve cancer cells.